Hey Space Sailors, welcome to the crew. I'm Sailor Janda, and this is my Let's Play of Citizen Sleeper. We are now into Act 3 of the update content, and we are rushing to try to figure out the secret of whatever malevolent software is involved in this wave that keeps hitting us before it can take out the whole eye. That's nice. Okay, so... There's not actually... Oh, there is something I can do here. I can help. Okay. The next Flux event is coming and it can't be stopped. The sooner your preparations are complete, the better the outcome. Peak is desperately looking for a way to combat both the coming Flux event and the Shadow Protocol infecting the station. Sorry. I'm yawning. I'm gonna... There we go. Okay, so to devise a strategy, Peak is tirelessly analyzing the Flux data and testing countermeasures on the Shadow Protocol. They need your help. Fine, I can do that. Are there any other things anywhere? Ah, well, I can repair the Pilgrim Seed. That is not my priority. With any luck, it won't be necessary at all. Is there anything with Haven that I need to be thinking about? I'm guessing there will be something, but there's not something yet that I can see. Yeah, nothing currently, so... I mean, I might help the evacuation if I run out of other things to do, but that's the last priority for me. I'm really hoping we're just not going to have to do it. First, we're going to get this done. You showed the latest data to Peak and their eyes light up. We've seen something, but what is it? Okay, we're going to finish this cycle. That is a good start. What'd you find, Peak? Peak beckons you over the wide mess table where they've set up a terminal. The hours of bleary-eyed work have left you both drained, and Peak looks ready to collapse. You slide onto the curved couch beside them, something dark and malevolent filling their screen like an oil stain. I'm sick of looking at this thing. Look again. Peak's eyes seem to glitter in the screen light. This isn't what you think, Sleeper. Not by a long shot. You look again at the screen, leaning in close to the dark, curved shape to see its texture. You see whorls and currents like a river. A dark flow, unlike the Shadow Protocol's dark tangle. You know exactly what this is. You've swum in this river, almost drowned in its shifting flow. It's the Gardener's chorus, the dark cloud which blankets the Greenway's networks. The bioorganic morass of a malfunctioning protocol grown vast and strange. The Gardener. Peak glances at you. How do you... They pause. Have you met them? I have. Peak shakes their head. Incredible. And perhaps you won't be surprised by what I'm about to propose. Meets your eye. Everything I've tried to do to contain the Shadow Protocol has been a failure. It slips through any containment, absorbs any countermeasure. That, unfortunately, is an unavoidable fact. And yet the eye still spins. The Shadow Protocol is being slowed, partially contained. It's spread across the station, as we've seen, but in reduced pockets, in fragments. So I started to look outside of our test cases, outside of these fragments we've been poking and prodding in our little lab. Peak smiles, and look what I found. Peak taps a key on their terminal, and you realize the screen is showing a recording of the data flow inside the eye's networks, sampled from hundreds of points around the Greenway. You watch as a subtle shift occurs at the edge of the flowing dark curve that blankets the Greenway. Something spreading like an ink stain, somehow darker than black, it bleeds across. The Shadow Protocol. Now watch. Peak eagerly points at the screen. You see something strange fizzing at the edge of the shadow, sparking, and then it's gone. And beneath, for a moment, a millisecond, you see into the networks of the Greenway. You're reminded of an image you'd forgotten, of pulling a plant from its pot and seeing a bone-white root ball where you expected to see dark soil. The white connections writhe like worms, and then it's gone, the dark flow closing up as quickly as it opened. The hell did I just see? Hope, Peak's eyes, wrapped up in something terrible. Think back to your meeting with the Gardener, to that sense of something old and world and inhuman to its core. Peak excitedly starts to explain. This is the only chance we have, the only countermeasure we have seen. In the moment that opened, I detected something, a centralized intelligence with the local ID Gardener. This protocol, the system, whatever it is, can protect its network from the Shadow Protocol. Well, it is an extremely powerful AI, that's very clear. It offered to absorb us a few episodes ago, but I turned it down, but, it does seem to protect life. Like, it clearly has that objective, so... maybe it will help us out here. But if it stays in the Greenway, the eye will still fall. The station systems are too exposed, too spread across the hub, the shipyards, the spokes. Peak glances away. The only way is to break it open, to spread the entity's network access, expand it somehow. Peak pauses. You want to let the gardener out? Peak stands up and walks away a little. They lean against the countertop, their head hanging so low that their long hair touches the work surface. You hear them breathing deeply. I don't know, Sleeper. They lift their head. I really don't know. Hell, it's a chance. Maybe. They shake their head. You know as well as Pink that this is it. You know it because over the past cycles you've run every simulation, every possibility you could think of, and still come up with nothing. You've stared a hole into your screen and dreamt of that black shadow creeping in at the edges of your vision. Pink recognizes the look in your eyes, the potent cocktail of resignation and anger. Let's say we do this, Pink begins, eyeing you carefully. What do we need? They begin to answer their own question, thinking out loud. I suppose we need to do two things. Find a way to limit or control the gardener's spread, and then reconnect the Greenway. Peak starts pacing, the ideas coming quickly now. Controlling the spread means preparing the station. Limit the gardener's network to key systems. We don't want it taking everything, we just need it to protect the station's core functionality. Then we need to reconnect the Greenway, hook it back up to the main line of the network. Those systems we prepared, they should connect, and Gardner will spread along the paths we prepared. At least that's my theory, Pete grimaces. But if we don't prepare correctly, the Gardner might not spread, or it might spread to everything. Pete closes their eyes, and after that, things might get worse. Not worse than us all being dead, though. Don't say it, Sleeper. Pete sits back at the terminal and brings up a map of the eye. Rotational control at the hub, life support at the free spoke, power routing at the Havenage shipyards. They stab at the map with each one, marking them in red. Then there's the central core, as I understand it, is somewhere on the rim. I'd need to find it. They push their hair out of their face. We see the Gardener in all these places, Pete pauses. But how are we going to do that? Weirdly enough, if we just transplant the plants, they are part of the Gardener. Pete smiles. Of course. Gardener needs plants to care for. That's what their protocol dictates. They must have been part of the farming management systems of the Eye back when Solheim built it. We seed Greenway plants into those systems and the Gardener will seek them out. Protect them. Pete stares at the map of the Eye. It's a wild idea, but it could work. Yeah, it's actually simpler than that, Pete. The plants are literally, like, parts of the Greenway's network. They'll just connect, I think. Once Gardner gets access. But they pause. We'll need a way into those systems. Havenage have most of them locked down for safety purposes. We can't just walk in. As it happens, I know a guy. Peak raises an eyebrow. Someone in the Havenage systems team? Yes. You nod. After everything he dragged you through, you feel like Fung still owes you. Time to pay him a visit. Okay, well, Peak looks at you sideways. I guess we should pay him a visit. Lead the way. You both leave the ship, carried forward by the excitement of the plan and an eagerness to not look at the details too closely. You push any lingering questions to the back of your mind. Time to head to Fung's Bay. We should probably look at the details closely before we do something like this. We don't want to accidentally break the whole station, but it does kind of seem like it's the only shot we've got, so... Hey, Fang, I need you to, hack your own company for us and spread a rogue AI. Fang isn't in his bay, and no one in the offices upstairs seems to know where he is. Your lone clue is an out-to-lunch note. Fang is both never where he says he'll be and always late. Well, this is no surprise, now is not the moment for wasting time. You dig around Fang's bay and find some notes that mention the Flux. What is he working on? Well, figures he'd be trying something of his own to fix it, but... I have a plan. He doesn't know anything about the Gardener, so there's no way he can replicate this plan without our help. We have to clue him into what it is that needs to be done, I think. Cat. And the cycle clock's here now, too. That's nice. Feng? Where... Feng, I need you to be found. I need you to be found quickly. That's it. No more wasting time. Peak sighs and pulls out their slate. They crack open a box on the side of the base shutter and wire the slate to what's inside. Maybe your friend has a Havenage pass card or something inside. Peak shoots you a glance. Something they wouldn't mind if we borrow. Fine, but be quick. Peak nods without looking up. going as quick as I can. After a few tense moments, the shutter jerks and begins grinding open, the noise making you jump. Let's get inside. Pete glances around. Quickly. You slip into the dark of the bay, punctuated by the blinking lights of Feng's piles of servers, somehow even more disordered than before. Pete makes a beeline for the desk at the center, scattered with tools and components. They flick on a lamp and stare at the mess. Are you sure this person can help us? Yes. You're interrupted by the sound of footsteps from the entrance. Someone's come in behind you. Pete freezes. I could swear I closed this shutter when I left. Feng leans on a stack of servers near the entrance. Must be getting forgetful. He grins at you. Feng! The very same, Feng smiles. Raises an eyebrow. Thought you'd come to rob an old friend. Is that the plan? We need your help, man. Feng nods. You hear about the Flux? Pete nods and is suddenly giving Feng their full attention. Feng smiles, pleased with himself. I guessed as much. I saw changes in the old system architectures almost immediately. Some of them have been running since the first days of the station, so when I saw new patterns, shifts in logic, I knew something must have happened. These past cycles I've been doing a total inventory of the core systems from the hub to the rim. He grins. I'm surprised myself, to be honest. I didn't think I had it in me. Peaks seems unamused. And what'd you find? Feng sighs. That's the thing. There's something all twisted up in the systems and protocols, but every time I look at it, it disappears. Peak finishes. Feng turns to you. Do they always do that? Peak ignores him. It's a shadow protocol. It masks itself somehow, bedding into the gaps between the systems in the negative space. It's slowly filling every system in the station, slowly taking over. We need to stop it. You need to grant us access to all the core systems of the station, rotational control, life support. Peak, you're coming on a little strong there. Feng holds up a hand. Whoa, 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 slow down there. I don't even know your name. Feng shakes his head. And you're asking for the keys to the castle? Can't be done. You can trust Peak. Feng pauses and glances between both of you. How long have you known this one, Sleeper? I know I owe you, but I also know that you trust too easily. Sorry to say it, that is objectively true. Peak cuts in. I can vouch for myself. I came to the Eye on the run from the XPR colony Hawthorne with the intent to keep running until we hit the starboard belt. But since I have been here, I have done everything in my power to protect this place. I've helped to stabilize the refugee flotilla, to investigate the Flux, to identify and make a plan to purge the Shadow Protocol from the station's systems. Meanwhile, Havenage has done everything to stop and slow these actions. I have proven myself as a friend of the people of this station, not the administration, many times over, and I will not be doubted by someone who wears the badge of this corrupt administration. Peak fixes Feng with a hard look. Feng looks down at his Havenage jacket and shrugs. This is all I have in my wardrobe. Look, I have no love for the Council either, friend, but someone has to run this place, and that someone is me. Feng walks over to the workbench where you're both standing and digs a slate out of the pile of tools. You want to prove yourself? Show me. Peak grabs the slate, and you recognize the tangled form of a fluxed node on the screen. Peak immediately starts tapping away at it, its tendrils unwinding, and the shadow, just slightly delayed, slipping out of sight. Feng leans in. Interesting, he says to himself. Before long, Peak's unfolded the system completely, and it lies splayed out like an unwound ball of string. At the center, with nowhere left to hide, is the dark stain of the Shadow Protocol, visible for all to see. What now? Feng asks, his eyes fixed on the screen. How do you kill it? That's why we're here. Feng looks intrigued. Go on. There's one entity on the station that we've seen purging the Shadow. The Gardener. Feng frowns. Who's that? Some Greenway hacker? Peak glances at you. More like an avatar of the Greenway itself. You explain the Gardener to Feng, the feeling of descending into the flowing river of consciousness. You explain the networked chorus, the non-human collective of voices. You tell him of the farming AI's offer to you to be networked into the chorus, dissolved in its flow. Then you explain that by granting it access to the AI's major networks, you hope to reinforce them. Feng is silent for a moment. And you want to let this thing out? He shakes his head. That's the kind of stupid plan I'd dream up. He pauses. I like it. He smiles. This place is rammed with weird protocols and forgotten intelligences anyway. What's one more ghost in the machine? Well, I killed two, might as well replace one. We try to limit it, of course, Beak explains. That's why we want your help to access the Eye's major systems, to seed some of the Gardener's spores into them, to draw the Gardener's focus to those places. Feng whistles. So the way we save the Eye is by growing mushrooms in all the server stacks. He glances at you. Sleeper, congratulations, you found someone wackier than you. Peak goes to argue, but Feng holds up a hand. In it is an all systems Haven-Age pass card with his picture on it. Take it before I change my mind. Thank you, Feng. Don't mention it. Feng gives you a look. In all honesty, Sleeper, I was on my way back here to start tearing the place down. The Shadow Protocol had me spooked. So if you're telling me you've figured out a way, we might fight it. He licks a Peak. No matter how crazy. And I'm glad to help. He smiles a tight smile. What are you gonna do now? I have to keep on with my work here. Strengthen those systems, back up the data. The worst comes to the worst, I'll need to rebuild. I won't let this place die. The last pieces of my parents are here among the data. Alright, goodbye, Feng. Feng embraces you firmly. Stay safe, Sleeper. Take the card and leave the bay with Peak. Once you're outside, they stop you. We should split up. Peak looks worried. We've wasted enough time as it is. Head to the facilities in the hub, the free spoke, and the far side of the shipyard. Seed the gardener there. I'm gonna find the core control center that's somewhere on the rim. They hold up their slate. I'll send you a message on your slate when I have something. Good luck. They squeeze your shoulder and exchange fearful looks. You know deep down that Peak isn't sure this will work, but they've decided to act, to move with confidence, and for that confidence you're very thankful. Okay, so do I just literally need to put mushrooms in these places? Yep. Implanting greenway spores into the system here should bait the gardener into extending their protection to this vital system. To have any hope of controlling or limiting gardener spread, core systems of the eye need to be seeded. Well, spores. The garden is implanted, now it must grow. Kind of hilarious that I'm literally just planting mushrooms in core systems. Okay, I need to go get some more mushroom spores. That's not that great, but I should eat before I take that risk. Emphys. Fungus, please. Never let it be said I'm not a loyal customer. Okay, that should be enough spores. Where else was I supposed to put them? I'll find it. Let's hold on. Nope, that doesn't actually say. It was one of them on the hub? Yes, rotational control. Spores from the greenway implanted here will seed a garden that the gardener will be forced to protect. At least that's the theory. Okay, and then the last one was where? Should have clearly paid more attention. Oh, life support right here. Okay. Planting spores from the greenway into the station's life support control systems feels like madness. Is this really the solution? Sure, why not? I trust the gardener mostly. He's left the Haifa commune very much alone, so I think it should be okay. Actually, he's helped them extensively. If I hadn't completed that whole quest line before this for some reason, I would be a lot more suspicious. But I have a fair amount of trust in the gardener. As you leave, the slate Pink gave you chirps insistently. You check and see a message. Found a possible entry to the core facility in the low end. Meet me here, ASAP. Peak. The blinking marker gives their position is on the free spoke side of the main block. Better head to the low end. Okay, but first I'm gonna take a nap. Okay, no, I need to talk first. Okay, fine. You arrive at the coordinates given by Peak's slate, a rundown but active corner of the low end where a short, glass-roofed alley turns off from one of the main thoroughfares. You wait in the mouth of the alley, good grief, leaning against the wall and watching the street life go by. Children hop across grids, scratched into metal floor plates, playing games of their own devising, while older residents sit and talk or play tavla. It's hard to believe that all this is at threat. It seems so concrete, so real. How can some intangible protocol erase all this? As you're watching, a voice calls out to you from one of the tavla tables set up along the way. You move a little closer and recognize the sitting player immediately. Caster sits, tavla pieces and board ready in front of him, smiling at you. Sleeper, my partner's not arrived for our usual game. Come, please, take her place. He beckons you over, standing and nudging you to sit down with him. A rematch is in order. You owe me a game. Almost immediately, Caster begins the game. Everyone on the eye knows how to play Tavla. The methodical movements of the counters across their triangular points are ready fit for the rhythm of life on the ramshackle space station. Most games begin in the same way, with each player moving with independence, focused only on achieving their optimal early game setup. But there's a moment in each game where it becomes necessary to notice the other player, to anticipate the crossing of the counters across the board. The point of contact when routine becomes negotiation and negotiation becomes conflict. As this moment arrives, this subtle shift in the texture of the interaction, Caster begins to speak. I find myself surprised by you continually, Sleeper. He looks over his glasses at you. The way you conduct yourself, for example, suggests an anxious refrain, a defensive, protective quality. But in your Tavla game, he pauses to move a counter, I see only risk. What are you talking about? Risk, Sleeper. I'm talking about risk. Risk is, of course, necessary to play Tavla. To move a piece is to expose it, but it should be done with calculation, with proper analysis. And if the piece is taken, Caster moves a counter, taking one of yours with a practiced swap, placing it beside the board, it is already accounted for. But you move forward with abandon, as if risk was just a secondary effect of action, a consequence, not its primary guide. He gestures for you to take your turn. Cause. I play my way. He smiles. Indeed, indeed. That is all I seek. You move your piece. This locks you into being reactive, if you don't mind me saying so. You're responding, which means you are being led. He leans back to consider the board. This place, it mirrors you, Sleeper. It is also reactive. It was born from a crisis, the collapse of Solheim, and ever since it has been reacting without any central guiding principle. No analysis, no calculation. Just look at our refugee crisis, for example. It's all reaction, all risk-taking, and little risk calculation. At first I found the chaos enlivening, especially when trying to track its outcomes, but now I find it exhausting. He laughs. It always amuses me that this place is literally spun from the rim. Below this very stack of habitation blocks is the most important control facility on the eye. Spun from the rim, he laughs again. What better metaphor could you find for disorder? His face drops. But why am I telling you that? That facility is precisely why you are here. He smiles an unsettlingly warm smile. You feel a shiver through your body as if something has changed in the air. How do you know about that? I think it's pretty obvious. He makes it his business to know these things, but no words come out of your mouth. You feel removed from yourself, watching from behind frosted glass. Your eyes dart side to side. Inertia sets in. Caster is still smiling. The risk you are planning to take here, Sleeper, is not yours to take. Caster's tone is unshifted. He speaks as if this is still some casual conversation between passing acquaintances. You are leaping towards a chaotic outcome with no respect for risk. You see, calculating outcomes, that's my specialty. That's why I'm here. I was hired as a conduit for risk, as a collector of data that might pertain to its arrival. He removes his glasses to clean them, and you see something flicker across their surface, a shimmering stream of characters. This system, this station, is already theirs. Solheim's collapse meant a corporate fire sale. Assets changed hands. My employers, Senate bought out the entire system and for the past decades have been its one valid owner. He polishes his glasses diligently. But to possess this system, the H1 system, he pauses, Helion to you, well, that is a matter of risk. Of how much force, how much cost, how much conflict a clearance would take. He places his glasses. That risk must be calculated against the favorable outcome. In short, how much is this place worth to us? For a long time, the answer was nothing. H1 could offer nothing that would warrant the risk. But the markets change, the demands shift, and Senate we analyze, we follow, we respond. He puts his glasses back on his face. H1 is about to become the most important system in this part of the galaxy. He glances around. The lone CAN channel operating within range of 7 or so newly surveyed resource-rich systems. The frontier town that feeds the gold rush, so to speak. So here we are, re-evaluating the risk, reclaiming our property, starting up the CAN channel and clearing the way for what comes next. He sits back, looking at the board. He gestures. Your move. Senate is causing the flux? He managed to force out the words. Caster looks a little surprised. Senate is acting to reclaim their property from illegal occupation, to re-establish H1 as a foremost colony of the surrogacy program. Of course, I do not need to explain myself to you, but in the role as an analyst in my calculations, I see great promise in you, in your ability to enter systems, to shift them to your will. Not every sleeper has this capacity, I assume you know that. He smiles. It truly is a wonderful happenstance of SNR's technology. I imagine even they are not fully aware of it. He takes his move, claiming another of your pieces, and as you watch, you realize the inevitability of his victory. I will make you an offer, to come willingly or come by force. The station will collapse, we can be sure of that. But your ability to work with data, for an analyst, that is very intriguing. He pauses to push his glasses up his nose. Very intriguing indeed. He glances around. Come with me as a collaborator or as a prisoner. Consider the risk. On one hand, almost certain death. On the other, a possible future. Analyst or not, you must see it. Speak now, Sleeper. The game is forfeit. You must see that. He holds out a hand. You are of value. You're needed. You feel a slight release in the inertia that grips you. Enough to allow you to speak, to respond. You realize that you're already in Castor's hands, that you cannot move from this place if you wanted. Sleeper? You hear the familiar voice above the crowds. Sleeper, I'm here. You're unable to turn your head to see Peak, but you notice Castor's eyes following them as they come up from behind you. Then you see Castor's eyes glance down, towards his hands, concealed beneath the table. Sleeper, Peak comes around the front of you and waves a hand in your face. We were supposed to be meeting, remember? You glance at Castor. Sorry, am I interrupting something? You cannot speak. Castor shoots Peak a wide smile. Hello, you must be a friend of Sleeper. You watch one of his hands lift, close to his body, some dark shape concealed in it. A weapon. You try to scream, to shout, but Castor's attention remains partially on you, and while it does, you can do nothing. Peak glances at your static form. What's happening here? Sleeper? They put a hand on your shoulder. Are you okay? As Peak stares into your eyes, you see Castor behind, his hand lifting, the dark object unfolding, and in the split moment it does, you feel his attention shifting to Peak, shifting away from you. As you do, you feel the inertia lifting, and you know this is the only moment you will have to act. You lurch forward wildly like a sprung trap. Your head strikes Peak's chest and then carries them back into Castor. Somewhere, some digital screech is echoing through the walkway. They tumble together. The object in Castor's hand skitters across the floor. You realize the screech is you. Get to your feet, grab Peak, and run. You run as hard as you can, the scream chasing you down the walkway as you shove through the residence, Peak dragged behind. You run from the cold grip of whatever power Castor had over you, the signals that locked you into this body of yours, that broke the connections and crawled up your spine. Eventually you stop, both you and Peak collapsing, heaving, breathing into the cold metal floor. When they're able to speak, Peak asks you to explain, and you tell them everything Castor told you. About Senate Stat, about their claim on the Helion system, the reactivation of the CAN channel, the Helion system's growing importance. It flows out of you in desperate gulps, unable to believe your own mouth as you hear these words coming back to you. All you feel is the need to push back against the cold hand on your shoulder, the vast cold eye that's turned to look at this system, the ghostly limbs of corporate control that are extending their reach. Peak is quiet for a long time, then they speak. We have to finish this, Sleeper. They meet your eye. We have to complete the sealing of the systems. We have to set Gardner free. You're damn right we do. If the choice is between Gardner and these people, I will choose Gardner every time. Their eyes are cold and steely. I would choose anything over them. Damn straight you would, Peak. To hell with the corporations. You stand together. The final control facility is here. I found it. Peak looks at you grimly. I can take you as soon as you're ready. Time's almost up. This is the only shot you'll have. Okay, well. Yeah, let me pop a stabilizer. It's technically slightly early by my usual standard, but maybe we should be at full strength here. I find it hard to believe this is actually the end, to be fair, because it's been 2 cycles, but... So we're blazing through this awfully quickly, if it really is, but thanks for watching, Space Sailors. Hope you enjoyed. New episodes will be up every other day, or you can watch live on Twitch. If you did enjoy, consider leaving a like or subscribing, and have a nice day, Space Sailors. This is Sea Lord Janda, signing off.